We have some haze today. You can barely see the horizon. The volcano over on the island of Hawaii is erupting, and we're getting what's known locally as VOG, V-O-G, Victor Oscar Golf. I'm recording on my Lanai and Waikiki. There's a lot of noise, so I've gotten used to it. So if I don't notice it and you hear a lot of noise, apologies. Sometimes I do notice it, but such is life. Now, my goal today is to talk about the speed of your cables when you transfer files. I do videos mostly outdoors of parades, rallies, dances, contests, and if I'm recording on my iPhone, generally I transfer files from the phone to my computer via AirDrop. As an example, we may have a parade that lasts 3 hours. There's a lot of dead time between floats and marchers and whatever other people are participating in the parade, so I don't record during the dead time. I'll start recording again when something comes into sight. So I end up with a couple of dozen files. If I try to transfer them all at once by AirDrop, it fails. I'm sure it's operator error. I don't blame Apple or any of the hardware. Something I'm doing is wrong. So I end up having to do maybe 10 files at a time, and it takes a long time. I'm unhappy with that. So I've looked for a way around it, and I did a test the other day. I recorded a series of 10-minute videos to my iPhone, to a Transcend SSD, and to a Samsung SSD. When I recorded directly to the iPhone for 10 minutes, all the files are a little over a gig, 2.1, 2.2, so I'm just going to say 2 gig files. I timed it by transferring that one 2 gig file to my Mac by AirDrop, and it took 1 minute and 20 seconds. So let's talk about how I timed it. I have a Timex Easy Reader with a sweep second hand. So when I did a transfer by AirDrop, I navigated to where I needed to be to click on files and send them. When the sweep second hand hit a number, I clicked on transfer and it sent the file. 1 minute and 20 seconds by watching the second hand, stopped transferring and said it was a success. I looked at it, 1 minute and 20 seconds had passed. If I'm doing the transfer from an SSD, I mount the SSD on the desktop, open it, and then wait until the second hand hits a number, drag the file from the SSD to the desktop and time it, and wait until the second hand gets to wherever it is, and that's the time it took. Not scientific, but close enough for my work. When I did it by AirDrop, it took 1 minute and 20 seconds. Now I can transfer it from the iPhone to the computer by cable, so I have my iPhone record to the files folder and then transfer it by cable by plugging the iPhone into a USB-A hub. I have a cable on the USB-A hub with a USB-A plug on one end and a USB-C plug on the other that I plug into the phone. The phone mounts, and I do the same thing, navigate to the file on the phone, wait until the second hand hits a number, drag the file to the desktop, and time it. 2 gig file by cable took 1 minute and 27 seconds. Now let me talk about my setup. my USB-A hub is plugged into the back of a CalDigit hub. I've forgotten what it's called, but it's got USB-A plugs, USB-C plugs, and Thunderbolt. So my CalDigit hub is connected to the Thunderbolt port on the back of my iMac. So the speed limiting factor is the USB-A hub and the cable. When I copy files to these, my initial cable was this flat cable, which I picked because it's easy to manipulate and I can mount the phone on my iPhone frame, stick this into a hot shoe mount, and plug the cable in. So I don't know what this cable is rated at. I picked it for it's short and convenient. I got no file frames dropped, recorded to it fine, no problem. With the Transcend has a USB-C plug on one end, plugged it into the phone, has a USB-A plug on the other end, plugged it into the USB-A hub, and did the transfer. I don't know what the cable is from the USB-A hub into the back of the CalDigit hub. So when I did it with this flat cable and the Samsung T7, it took 55 seconds to transfer a 2 gig file. So that's better than 1 minute and 20 seconds with AirDrop. So when I transferred it by the USB-A hub and this flat cable, it cut the time down to 55 seconds. So that's better than 1.5 minutes using the phone to transfer to the computer. So writing to the Transcend or the Samsung T7 adds no additional time when I'm recording, and 55 seconds is faster than 1.5 minutes. So I was happy with that. So then I tried transferring the file from the Transcend, plugged directly into a USB-C port on the back of the Mac. And I can describe the difference in one word. Holy cow! 5 seconds. It took 5 seconds to transfer USB-C to USB-C on the back of my Mac. I tried it with the flat cable, no improvement. I happen to have had a 10 gigabits per second rated cable, and I used that to transfer to the USB-C port on the back of my Mac, and 5 seconds again. It's an incredible improvement. I'm remarkably happy with that. And I encourage you, if you're transferring files from an SSD, don't get an unrated cable, because you're wasting your SSD performance, whether you're recording to it from your phone or transferring files to your computer. Be sure, please, that you get a 10 gigabits per second rated cable or higher. Now, I've tried it. I have a bunch of Thunderbolt cables, Thunderbolt 3 and Thunderbolt 4, that I got with various items, including the CalDigit hub. And they transfer at the same speed as the 10 gigabits per second. However, somebody on Reddit suggested that that's not totally reliable. You won't always get that speed. And that person suggested using the 10 gigabits per second. That 10 gigabits per second is a limit of the phone, if I understand correctly. The phone won't transfer faster than 10 gigabits per second on its USB-C port. So that's my recommendation if you're transferring files to an SSD when you're recording from your phone. Record to the SSD on 10 gigabits per second. With this plug, the little Transcend plug directly into the phone, 10 gigabits per second. So save yourself some time and make sure you don't drop any frames trying to write faster than the cable allows.